Hello everyone and good morning. I am Andrew Cannon and today it is wheel testing day. This is a little different than how I normally do it, but in my brain this makes sense. We'll see if it actually works out the way that I'm planning. My good friend Rob Washburn over at Bones sent me some different versions of the 97 X formula wheels, and he wanted me to test them and basically see which one of these two I like better. And then he wants me to compare the one I like better to the OG 97 that's currently out there in the market and see if it's better, worse, whatever. He really wants me to love the 97s. I have not gotten there personally yet. I like the 99s. I like how they're a little harder, and I appreciate the way that they bark and they slide, and I think the sound on them is in the past a little bit better than the 97s, but I am totally okay with my mind being changed here today testing some wheels. So here's what we did. We've got this version, this is the 1, this version is the 2. I put 2 wheels on the front, 2 wheels on the back, and I put Bones Reds in both, so that's not an issue. We're going to test the overall sound of them. We're gonna slide them. I'm gonna skirt on the ground with them just to kind of see like, hey, what do they both feel like? We're gonna do some tail slides, some 5/0 fakies, stuff like that, just to kind of see. Ideally, I'd like to do lip slides on the ledge if I can, just to see how that feels as well. And then I'll decide, which one of these do I like better? And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the OG, the actual in production 97As on, whichever the opposite is. And we're gonna do a compare and contrast that way. I'm kind of looking at it like I just got an eye appointment the other day, and they basically, they do that thing where they're like, okay, A, B, A, B. And so I'm gonna kind of do that with wheels. The samples are the same shape. These are the V5 side cuts, so they're just a little bit thinner as far as the profile is concerned, but we're not gonna really let it hinder us here too much. In the end, the slide is gonna be the slide, and the feel and the sound is gonna be what it is. The rest of my setup, I've got that Skate Mafia board, the 825 that I'm still really digging. It's got the 14.2 wheelbase. It's like 31.52 inches long. I've got slappies on because I'm going through a little bit of truck madness right now. Just trying to, I really want my 3 flips to feel good. And I feel like with the wheelbase and the Thunders, my 3 flips are a little bit laggy. So what I did is I put the slappies on, but I talked to Mike Sinclair the other day and was like, dude, the original 825 trucks that I got, I couldn't tighten them enough with that inverted kingpin. And so he's like, oh, dude, you can swap out the hanger on the 825 and change it out for the 85 trucks that I tried with the ultra low kingpin, and I'll be able to tighten them a little bit more. And I was like, oh shit. So I swapped out the 825 hanger. I put them on here. These are the ultra lows, and I've been skating them for a few days now, and they definitely feel good. We'll do some 3 flips today just to confirm or deny if they're working. I've got that Jessup Ultra. I did re-grip this board. Then I got a nice little mark from my son's scooter in the trunk. Okay, I'm skating the Warsaw chapters. Love these shoes, and I got some Remind insoles. Something important to note, I'm wearing jeans today. I never do that. I don't think I've done that in years. They're green jeans, but they're jeans nonetheless. So if I look like an idiot, that's why. All right, let's test out these wheels. So I've got the 1s on the front and I've got the 2s on the back. We're just gonna do a little quick slidey test. Catch a feel and a sound. Oh, all right. That was the 2s, now this is the 1s. Okay, the 2s seem like they're a little grippier. I don't know if you can hear that, but they both have the good bark. When you turn fast, they have that kind of like shh sound, but they both have the little lines right here, which that kind of happens when you have the lines. That's the 2. Let's do the 1. I could be incorrect in this. To me, it sounds like the 2 is a little higher pitched than the 1. Try a few more. I know this is like kind of a funny test, but I'm gonna try a few more just to see if I can actually identify being higher. Let me know at home if you think it sounds higher or not. Start with the 2. Now the 1. They both have a relatively good feeling grip. The 2 sounds higher pitched to me. I'm gonna take these up and do some tail slides, and we're gonna check in to see how that sound is getting a good slide in there. We're gonna start with the 2s. To me, a good sound is, I like a good bark. I like when it breaks free nicely. I don't like when it feels like it's just gonna shoot out, like you just don't get that grip. So we'll try it on the 2s, then we're gonna try it on the 1s. We're gonna see if there's a noticeable difference. Holy shit! Try that again. Trying the 1s now. Both are the same. Big part of that though is they have these grooves in them. So you're not getting like the full surface area of the bottom of the wheel. But I'm not exactly a fan of that feel on a slide. Again, that's pretty normal for the wheels when they have the grooves. It doesn't matter the hardness of them. That's the 2. That's the 1, and they slide like crazy. I don't necessarily have an opinion because they both slide the same so far. I might have to keep trying, but I'll do a front 5 and see how the feel is on the way out. See if we get any difference in a grip. Starting off with the 2s, we'll do the 1s. Nah. Coming back to tail slide, this is the 2. Jesus. That's the 2. Man, what trips me out about just X formula in general is 97, 99. Traditionally, those wheels are supposed to be much stickier. And these things slide so fast. I mean, you can see it. I'm pushing through the tail slides, but I'm getting relatively minimal resistance on it. I'm gonna try the 1s and see if I can actually notice that much of a difference between either of them. Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna see if that actually slides faster. Again, inconclusive. My findings are inconclusive. Let's try a lip slide on the ledge. This is not yielding that much of a different result, which is fine. Sometimes when you're testing product, there may not be that noticeable of a difference, and that's okay. That's definitely not icy by any means from a lip slide standpoint. We're gonna try the 2s first. Ugh. I think that's my first legit ollie of the day. Now I'm on the 1s. Ooh. Here's what I'm thinking. There was a bit of a difference there. The 1s felt a little harder to slide on the front side lip slide. With the 2s having a bit of a higher pitch, they were easier to slide through. I think the 2s might be a bit harder than the 1s, but I want to do a lip slide again on each just to see if it was a personal problem with my overall weight dispersion or if that's indicative of the wheels themselves. And then I stick. Might be full of shit. That actually stuck pretty decently. Back to the 2. One more time of each. 2s. Ugh. My feedback on these right now is inconclusive. I like the sound of the 2s better. I think they just have a little bit more of that high-pitched noise that makes me think of a harder wheel, but they both feel pretty similar when it comes to the slide. The feedback may be clouded by the grooves. If I was gonna try these again, I would be like, hey, can we do stone ground on them? Because then you feel the actual wheel surface a lot quicker. What I really need to do is I need to take these out into a parking lot, wear down the grooves, then bring them back into the skate park to really do a solid testing. Because I said I think the 2s are a little more what I prefer, I'm gonna change out the 1s and put on the in production 97s, see what kind of a difference there is. There's probably gonna be a difference on the slide and the sound because those do not have the grooves. So that might just be an immediate change. I'll be curious though if one is stickier than the other or not. Back down on flat, we've got the 2s on here still, the ones I said were a little higher pitched, and then I put the in production. These might be a millimeter higher. These might be 54s, these might be 55s. But again, those are things we're not gonna stress about. It's really sound and feel and all of that. We're gonna do the same 3 tests we just did, just the skid on the ground, catch that noise. We're gonna do tail slide, front 5 fakes, and then we're gonna go over and do that lip slide and see if there's any real difference between the 2. Turning off my music. That's the 2. Ooh, there's a noticeable difference. Okay, noticeable difference right there. The 2s feel like they stay gripped to the ground better than the in production 97s, which I didn't expect. I'm gonna do it one more time just to confirm. Swap of the stance, now the production ones. Surprising. Overall feedback, the 2s feel more alive than the 97 in production. These just feel a little bit more dampened. The noise, the feel feels softer versus this 2. Tail slide, front side 5-0 fakie test. Sample tail slide first, production. Okay, back to the samples. Back to production. Okay. They both have that similar slide where you kind of don't hear it, which again is so mind-blowing to me for a 97. Samples. Production. Ooh. That definitely felt more grippy, but I'm gonna try again to see if it is. Got my phone. Wow, that's a really big difference right there. I'm gonna try that again. The reason front 5 to fakie is a good trick for that is because for me personally, when I do it, I don't do the Justin Strubing where you pop out all sick and look awesome. I do where you get in and you really push down like that. So you feel a ton in the back wheels. And so the big difference here is the sample wheels with the grooves are a lot easier to push through, whereas these 97 production wheels are much grippier. Right now, the sample wheels break free quicker and more easily than the production 97s. We're gonna go do the lip slide test and see if that makes a difference or not. Sample lip slide first. Woo! Now we're going with the production wheels. Ooh. Production wheels attempt 2. Oh. Without a doubt, the production wheels are grippier than the sample wheels. Not even a question. Oh. There we go. Done the test. I'm gonna do some 3 flips on flat because I said I was going to. My 2 cents, the samples slide better for me on everything with the exception of the tail slide where I felt like they both slid pretty much the same. What's interesting is this is a wider surface area, and I could be completely incorrect in this, but a wider surface area should make it harder to slide because it's more wheel on the ground versus this thinner surface area. So if I was picking between these two, I would say that for the way that I personally like to skate, I would go with this sample wheel, and I would ask to see it in the same exact shape with that stone ground finish to really compare and contrast them and make sure that I'm not talking shit because this does have the grooves in it. Let's go do some 3 flips on both and then we'll call it a win. But this was really interesting. I think between the two samples, the 2 felt like it was a bit harder, and I liked the overall sound and the way that it broke free when I was just doing those little skitch power slides on the ground. And I like the 2 over the production because it was easier to slide through. That said, it is very important to compare apples to apples when you are doing that. I didn't say it, but I did change out the bearings on these wheels just so they were reds because it took 2 seconds. I wanted to make them as close to being the same as possible. 3 flips and then we're calling Washburn to find out if I'm full of shit or not. The 3 flip portion of this is just for me to feel something, brother. Woo! Okay, that was the sample. There's no difference. Perfect timing. A group of moms just rolled up with like 12 kids on scooters. So today we tested the Bones 97A formula wheels. I tested 2 sets of samples against each other. One was labeled 1, one was labeled 2, and then I tested the sample that I liked better, which was the 2. And the reason I liked it better was I felt it was a little harder and I liked the overall feel when I power slid versus the 1 against the in production 97. Overall, I wasn't sure how this test was going to work out, having the wheels on different trucks and then just kind of swapping my board around, but honestly it worked out really well. It made it very easy and efficient, which I like. I wasn't having to like swap different boards and all that stuff. So my next steps are, I'm going to reach out to Rob over at Bones. I'm going to share that exact feedback, and I'm going to ask him if he would like me to do any further testing, if we could pour the wheels, because they pour them in Santa Barbara, and I am going to go visit Bones at some point here. I've talked to Rob about it, and I'm excited to go see how they do it all. And I would ask him to pour them in this exact same shape with that same finish so that I can really compare and contrast the two and give 100% feedback. But overall, the 97's a good wheel. This one right here, this sample gets me closer to saying, yes, I would ride a 97 over a 99, which was Rob's goal in doing this with me in the first place. So gang, let me know what you guys think. If you guys have any feedback, if there's anything else you would like to see when I'm testing a wheel like this, let me know. Thanks so much for tuning in. And Bones, thanks so much for not just asking me to test some wheels, but asking me to do it in video format, because I love that. If any brands out there ever need product testing, please reach out to me. You guys can shoot me an email, comment below, whatever. I love testing product. I'm more than happy to do so. We can figure out the best way to do it. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in, and I will see you guys on the next one.